go through Instagram and you see everybody's life is perfect.
Yes.
Obviously, everybody says those are all fake, don't believe it. You know, they're sitting there, but then there's all these camera crew and all that stuff, so it's all fake. But it is real for a lot of people. My name is Joseph, your host for Better.
My name's Jane. I'm Joseph's co-host. My dream is to be rich, fabulously rich, right now.
Each one of these episodes will cover 4 topics. We take what the traditional formula is, how everybody else is doing it, and if there's one way to do it better, then that's the stuff that we want to cover.
It's really, really interesting, really informative.
All right, let's get to it. Motivation is huge. In the grand scheme of life, it's not the intellect that's gonna make a tremendous difference. I think a big part of it is motivation, willpower.
All right, for 5,000 points, I will let you tattoo whatever you want on the stern of the old SS Bernard. Here we go.
All right.
Really? Now let's get to work.
Wait, but you did say we could pool our points, right? In that case, let's get to work.
There's 4 ways to be motivated. There's reward and punishment, and there's intrinsic and extrinsic. So reward and punishment is pretty clear. You do it, then you get rewarded, and so now there's this carrot. If you don't do it, then there's this punishment, and that's the punishment. Extrinsic is social pressure, expectations by your peers, by your family. Intrinsic is the reverse of that. You don't care about any other person's opinion. It's purely your own identity. Oftentimes, what I find most interesting is the intrinsic, right? If you can develop the identity in these individuals, then that becomes the foundational driving force. A lot of times that's character, that's virtue. And once they become that virtuous person, that values these identity, like, oh, I'm not going to cheat because I'm not a cheater. I am this. You have that integrity, and that will be the North Star for the rest of their life.
Just to set people's expectations. Like, will it still feel like work? You're just now working better, working more? Or is there a sense in which the closer tied you are to those values, it will become an increasingly pleasant experience or less burdensome? Or should people not really expect that?
Motivation can ebb and flow. You might be very motivated for one thing when you are single. You're very motivated in another thing when you're married. People change, their priorities change. Really understanding that dynamic, understanding that about yourself, and then using the right motivation techniques to align yourself to that. And then when you are in your environment and when you surround everybody in the right environment, then everybody blooms. I was at this restaurant with my friend. We're talking about the particular restaurant that we were at. It's super uncool of me to do this, but I said, basically, this place sucks and another place is way better. Yeah, it was not good. And the thing is, I still go there. That's when I think back very often. And I think, man, this sucks. Now every time you pass by it or you think about it, there's that pain there. So how do you deal with that? What I have found very, very helpful in dealing with regret and pain is to reframe it, to come up with a new memory.
Anyway, these are Riley's memories, and they're mostly happy, you'll notice, not to brag.
What I did was I started creating new memories with this restaurant owner. So I befriended the restaurant owner. We started doing fun things together. But now when I see him, there's all these other things. There's plans ahead. There's things that we have to do. There's other problems that we have to solve together. There's all sorts of things. I'm helping with him with other things. There's much more of a context.
Yeah, and I guess it's not to say like we're not saying pain is like bad. Too much pain is obviously bad. So we're just lowering the level, but it's not to say the best life is a life without pain, because I don't think that's true.
Instead of letting pain be a paralyzing event, because sometimes pain is really, really painful. Like, honestly, I'm fine driving through the day and suddenly that thought pops up and I just like suddenly ruins my day, ruins my mood, right? And so I'm like, I need to deal with this. It's sapping my energy, it's sapping my joy. I need to deal with it in a healthy way. What is it? And then as I was studying memory, suddenly all of this came about. Hopefully, whoever's dealing with pain, this will send them off on the right course. How do you judge a person when you hire them? How do you judge a person that you're gonna marry? How do you judge a person that you're gonna invest in?
For your convenience, I've broken it down into 3 parts. Professional resume, athletic and special skills resume, and Dwight Schrute trivia.
One of the best ways to judge somebody's character is references. Governments, when they go through the hiring process, they check credentials endlessly. They check your reference, and your reference is reference, and your reference is reference is reference. In most situations, when you need to make a judgment, references is the last thing people do or don't even do.
I normally am just like, you know, you seem fine. You know, you're not like a psycho. You're maybe some people are exceptional, but that's rare.
That new Netflix show, right?
What show?
Becoming Anna.
Oh yes, yeah.
Her name is Anna Delvey, or Anna Sorokin, no one's sure. She's either a rich German heiress or she's flat broke. The charges are insane.
That is a great example of you can't trust your own instinct in the sense if it is just purely that you like them. I also just finished a book, Malcolm Gladwell, How to Talk to Strangers.
When a judge confronts a defendant in an attempt to decide whether they should be given bail or not, how good are they at making that judgment? They're trying to predict, is the person so dangerous that they shouldn't be released or so not dangerous that they should? And what you discover in that moment is that judges do a very bad job of that.
He goes through example after example about how the people who are supposed to know how to read people, CIA, presidents, and how they misjudged somebody so terribly. Ultimately saying it's so difficult to judge somebody.
Yeah.
So how do you talk to strangers? How do you bridge that gap and understand them? If you're on like online dating, there should be a references thing, right? Like that should be the most important, and then everything else comes second.
You put all your exes on.
Oh yeah. You could talk to all my exes. That would be huge. If the exes endorsed you, wow.
I've been really into this like YouTube category of videos or like type of videos, and they have this particular lifestyle. Just focus on taking care of yourself and getting everything you want.
That sounds very similar to the Gramworthy, right? You go through Instagram and you see everybody's life is perfect.
Yes.
Obviously, everybody says those are all fake. Don't believe it. You know, they're sitting there, but then there's all these camera crew and all that stuff, so it's all fake. But it is real for a lot of people. Maybe not to the same ultimate extent, but it is fairly real. If you learn just a few basic design principles and just apply that, everything you do will just be that much better and that much closer to that Gramworthy lifestyle.
What are the principles?
One principle that seems to be universal is layering and texturing. Thinking back on all the things that you love to eat, a lot of times it's because that sensory experience is complete.
Each flavor was totally unique.
Now, applying that to interior design, oftentimes, if a place is just completely the same all the way throughout, even if you go for minimalism, they still juxtapose different fabrics, right? And so you have wood and then maybe you have marble, right? You want to have that visual pleasing, as opposed to just having a whole bunch of stuff all in one room. Another principle is the rule of thirds. Once I learned about it in photography, I see that everywhere. I see that in plating. You know, when high-end restaurants, you just go and look at the way they plate the food, that's rule of thirds. Almost every single plate. In interior design, I see the rule of thirds. These principles come up again and again and again. And I think you don't need to become an expert designer in every way. You just need to master your craft, whether it's a photographer, whether you're a chef. And then as you become an expert in one area, learn a little design and then just apply that with everything you do. And suddenly the art pieces that you pick for your room, the way you design your room, the way you design your outfit, the way you drink your coffee, everything is just gonna suddenly feel, oh, it's beautiful.